All right, well, thank you for joining us. We've got another omnibus bill on the floor today, our public safety omnibus bill. We'll also have our bill on teacher licensure on the floor today, so I'm going to turn this over now to Chairman Cornish to talk about the public safety bill, and then I can take questions on other things if you'd like after that. So, Chairman Cornish.
Okay, this is the Senate File 803, the Public Safety, Security, Policy, and Finance Bill. It's an omnibus bill, and it's got a lot of good policy in it and spending the money in the right places. We've got things like increasing penalties for sex offenders and spending money on terrorism grants, sex trafficking, and there'll be competitive grants that they'll apply for through the Office of Justice Programming. We've got money in here for specialty courts. We've got money for, as you know, corrections and the Department of Public Safety, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. There's a lot of different entities in this bill. There's also money for firearms examiner and different agents in the BCA to help turn evidence back to the sheriffs and law enforcement agencies across the state when they turn something in for examination to speed up the trials. And so it's quite a far-reaching bill into a lot of different areas. We've got Democrat authors in here and Republican authors. There's one thing that might interest you is the protester bill. You've heard a lot of talk about that. We've narrowed that somewhat to 4-lane highways and rail and airports, and we think that we got it into the position here where the governor will look at it closely. He's expressed some support before for it. And so that's about it. Well, we got another one, a high-profile case you've heard about probably recently, about the county attorneys using the stay of adjudication and then being able to mask offenders through a plea deal so their records don't show up and they don't register. We've made it possible now. In the recent case, we found out just recently that the bus driver involved in the child pornography had an offense similar to that 20 years ago where they used a stay of adjudication. And when they do that, it masks their records so people don't know that when they're employed in these sensitive areas. So that's the main crux of the bill, a lot of good things, and I expect a lot of votes for it today. There'll be some debate back and forth on the floor, but I think it'll eventually come up as a good bill. Questions?
Mr. Chairman, regarding the protester bill, why is something like this necessary right now? And there are some people, I'm sure you know, say that this infringes on First Amendment rights.
Right, I think those complaints are far outweighed by the complaints across, especially rural Minnesota and a lot in the metro area. It's a 80% decision at least in the rural area when you go out and talk to people and wondering why in the world everybody believes in free speech, but you can't go into a theater and yell fire, and you shouldn't be able to block railways or airports or freeways. It's just dangerous for everybody. And you kind of felt some of the frustration when you read the newspapers of these people coming down the highway and all of a sudden a mass of people. And there's a lot of difference between a peaceful protest where when you block the highway and drop cylinder blocks in people's heads and things like that went on. So we're trying to get it into a reasonable bill to allow people the freedom of speech, but yet the public safety for everybody in Minnesota.
And do the penalties remain the same, or the gross misdemeanor?
They're increased to a gross misdemeanor and not a felony like some have said. So it goes up from a misdemeanor to a gross misdemeanor, which I think is really reasonable.
Where are the gun bills? They're included in here, right? They weren't really talked about as financial items, but they're in the bill, aren't they?
No, there are no gun bills in there, the ones that you've heard about anyway. There is a bill to allow peace officers to carry into private establishments, which was the original intention of the bill until the language got clouded up in courts, so we fixed that in here. But there are no other gun bills in this omnibus bill.
Regarding the terrorism grants, is this a change in what we're doing right now? Or are we refunding the current program?
We're pretty much refunding it. It was real popular. Some people are a little bit worried about what they're going off into. It originally meant for fight terrorism, and so there's a little concern that there's some of it is going out into different areas, and how far do you want to push that, like basketball games and courts and things like that. So we're trying to get back to the original intention. There was some that wanted to change the name away from terrorism. but that's the original purpose, that's original intention and how they were put in, and that's what they were made for.
These programs are effective. I know they wouldn't be in the bill if you didn't think they worked in some way, but are they as effective as you thought they would be, and you think they are?
Yeah, it's one of those that's hard to quantify. I mean, how do you measure it? I mean, the terrorism, naturally, instances are so infrequent that it's hard to say how many you keep from happening. But this is to decrease the amount of radicalization that's taking place. We figure if you give these kids something to do and we get to them before the radicalization attempts, that we'll go far in this. But it's like you say, it's pretty hard to judge. But we think it's working, and the people that we give these grants to, like Hennepin County, and some of those are reporting great success with large numbers of kids.
You and I have talked about the targets and the difference between the House and the Senate targets, but since that conversation, one of your Democratic committee colleagues suggested that you were troubled or bothered or upset, however you might put it, by that difference in that it'll make it a little more difficult for you to negotiate once you get to conference because the polls are so far apart. Is there anything to that?
Oh, I don't know if I expressed grave concern, but naturally when you have two targets a ways apart, that you wonder how it's going to come out and how you're going to negotiate. And we go into negotiation with the Senate, they're going to have their preferred areas that they would like to spend money in, and so will we. But it's Republicans versus Republicans, which is a good deal. And so we won't have to be arguing basically on theory and philosophy, it's just numbers.
What about Appleton? Is that going to be a sticking point in
Yeah.
negotiations?
Appleton will come up, and I think it's our position that we've got a state-of-the-art prison sitting out there in a huge economically depressed area, one of the most economically depressed counties in the state, and we want to give them a shot in the arm and be able to use an existing facility. Under this bill, though it's not run as a private prison, under this bill it would be a lease-to-own staffed by a Department of Corrections employees, state employees, so we think it's a real positive measure. We're going to need the prison bed space sooner or later, and why not put it out there in an existing structure?
Some of your critics on that have said that the reason that you want the Appleton prison is because you want to put more people in jail. Can you respond to that?
Yeah, Minnesota's got an excellent record for not doing that. We've got the highest probation rate probably in the nation, and we've got the least amount of people incarcerated per capita. So I think there's nothing to that at all. The predictions for our prison bed space, even with the reform that we're doing, calls for more prison bed space need in the future. And if we're going to do it, why not use a facility that's ready to go and that will help out an area of the state?
Is there going to be a decision on leasing or purchasing? Or is that just going to be
On what?
leasing or purchasing the facility, or is it just going
Ours
to be?
is written as a lease to own, so that's what we're looking at, and it looks at having the Department of Corrections look into it. If they should make that decision that they need it, then it would be a lease to own.
Okay.
And if that would become law, do you have any concern about the ongoing operational costs and the impact on your budget in future years?
No, we would have enough time to look at it just like we do any of the other prisons, that we allow for it in a budget coming up in a new appropriation cycle. It would take some time to get ready, and then we would just put it before the Finance Committee, get fiscal notes just like we do with Stillwater or Lino Lakes or anybody else. So.
Have you had any conversation with the Commissioner of Corrections, Commissioner Roy, about this? Because in the Senate committee, he was saying that at the same time that he's asking for them to put money back in his budget, particularly for salaries and pensions, he's also having to ask them not to spend money on this prison. Have you had a conversation with him about that, and how did that go?
Well, we've had many conversations with the commissioner, and we're looking for cooperation in input from him and how to make this work instead of how not to make it work. So I think that the conversations will include him. And naturally, he's got his priorities like anybody else, where he wants to spend the money, but those priorities are weighed against the citizens of Minnesota's priorities.
Anything else?
You may have addressed this before I came in, but have you talked about your thoughts on the governor's decision to let the reinsurance bill become law without signing it, but also without vetoing it?
Well, glad that it's happening, but I'm disappointed the governor is taking that approach. Timing was important on this issue, and we worked with the governor's office through the entire process. This is something that the governor has pushed for, his commissioner of Commerce has pushed for publicly. This is something that came out of the Health Insurance Task Force as a recommendation. So this is something the governor has been very supportive and his administration have been very supportive on. We knew that in order for this to have a big impact on policies that it would need to be signed by April 1st. The governor has obviously pushed this past April 1st. We had the bill to him in time. He's obviously pushed it past April 1st, and now I don't know how long it's going to be before it becomes law without his signature, 10 days or so, whatever it is. But unfortunately, I think the governor's trying to play politics here and, doing everything he can now to minimize the actual impact on policies, and he's ratcheting up the political rhetoric, and it doesn't seem like he understands that he's responsible for the problem, and he needs to be part of the solution. So I'm a little disappointed in the governor, but glad that, at least that he's not blocking us from doing good things.
What does that 10 days do to you? Because we've been talking about an April 1st deadline. They'd already said, well, if it's April 3rd, that's not too material, but now we're talking 10 days.
We're talking about, I think it's another 10 days. I think that's the way it works. That it would become law midnight. Well, maybe it's 3 days. Good, that's better. But the problem is the governor has kind of done everything here to make it more difficult. And he could have signed this prior to April 1st. He's obviously not vetoing the bill because he knows that would be a problem. This is policy that he wanted. In fact, we made major concessions in the bill to move to his position. We removed our or put contingencies in place that the funding we put in from the state would be contingent upon federal funds. That causes a problem for the plans who are, assessing the risk, and they may not be able to give the kind of reduction based on the things that the governor was asking for. So the governor's asking for things that may reduce the amount of rate reduction that we see, and ultimately that might hurt Minnesotans who are affected by Obamacare. But ultimately, I guess we shouldn't be surprised because everything the governor has done has hurt people in Minnesota who buy health insurance.
Why is the Minnesota Care buy-in a non-starter in your chamber?
Because what we should all be doing is looking for things that will reduce the cost of health care in the state of Minnesota, not just health coverage, but health care. That's the real problem, and that's the real driver. And if there's one thing that you wanted to do to increase the cost of health care in this state, it would be the governor's plan. Because that pool has the lowest reimbursement rate for our healthcare providers of anything out there. And what that means is that when hospitals are losing money on that population, they will turn around and raise the cost of procedures for every other person in the state of Minnesota. So if you want to raise the cost of health care in the state of Minnesota, Governor Dayton is your man.
The medical providers are paying the fee that underwrites Minnesota Care, and then you're saying they're also getting hit on the other end with low reimbursements.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. It's not a good idea. It literally will raise the cost of health care in the state of Minnesota. The reimbursement rates for anyone who receives a procedure and is reimbursed by those Minnesota Care dollars, the hospitals will lose money on that. They will then turn around and raise their costs to everyone else, and that ultimately will raise the cost of health insurance for everybody else in the state. And that's not the direction that this needs to go. We need to find things that will keep the cost of health coverage down, and ultimately, in order to do that, we need to keep the cost of health care down. And the governor's plan does not do that.
Mr. Speaker, what will we see here in Minnesota with this reinsurance bill? What's going to be different this next year than all the stuff that happened this past year?
Well, what we hope is that there will be more more providers that will come into the marketplace. We hope that they will come in with more aggressive rates. We hope that we've responded to their requests to do things that will help reduce rates for consumers. But ultimately, that the governor has done some things here that make that more difficult. And that's the part that's a little bit confusing about the governor's position. These are things that he asked for. They're things that came out of the task force recommendations. They're things that his commissioner of commerce has publicly said we need to do quickly. And now the governor is dragging his feet and putting things in the bill that will make it more difficult for us to see that real rate reduction. So, and it looks like by not signing it, he's trying to wash his hands of this. His folks, his administration sat at the table with us and ultimately came to this final agreement with us. And the governor needs to understand that It was him and his administration, and I know he believes that because he said it in the Star Tribune. He was quoted as saying that he feels responsible for this problem, and he should. He brought this lock, stock, and barrel on Minnesotans, and the last election, I think, was proof that Minnesotans hold him accountable for it. But ultimately, being accountable means that you need to be part of the solution, and I think we want to see the governor roll up his sleeves and help us help these people. Now, to the heart of your question, this problem is so bad, and the insurance marketplace, the individual marketplace has basically collapsed. It's going to take more than a year for us to get out of this. It took us about 4 years to get here. It will take us 2 or 3 years to get out of here. And this is a great first or second step, but there's a lot of steps that need to come beyond this.
Quick real ID question. Sure. They didn't come your way when the Senate approved the bill. When you had the airport press conference, you were asking for them to pretty much adopt your bill, which includes the immigrant language. Theirs does not. How difficult a conference committee is that going to be with that issue standing in the way?
Democrats are still holding their position that they believe they cannot do undocumented immigrant driver's licenses through rulemaking. They believe that they want to have those issues dealt with separately. If those things are true, this should be very easy to wrap up, but we're actually going to need to separate them in the bill. It's my understanding that the majority and the minority in the Senate had an agreement to get the bill into conference committee, and that they may have some sort of an agreement that it won't look like that coming back from conference committee. I think we're willing to be flexible in our language, but we literally want to make sure that we keep the undocumented immigrant driver's license issue status quo and deal with just the real ID at this point. And that's the urgent issue that needs action now, and we're committed to doing that. So I hope that the governor will drop his demand for undocumented driver's licenses and join us in solving this problem. All right, thank you all.